Hi, everybody. I'm Anand. I'm the co-founder and CEO of eDAO, which is this Web 2 to Web 3 barge that gently transports creators and artists and brands and communities into the magical world of NFTs. And the first ever thing that we're doing as part of eDAO is this unique program called Unlabel, which is designed by and for artists, where 8 artists nurture and collaborate with 8 non-NFT artists. And over a period of 8 weeks, they drop 8 amazing works of art on the front page of Rarible, effectively launching those non-NFT artists and giving them their first steps into the world of Web3. And I'm hugely excited about this because I have begun a lasting and enduring love affair with artists in the Web3 space, because that aspect was missing for most of my life. Because just like you, I had zero to very little exposure to artists, and I used to imagine that artists are these alien species, right, that don't look like human beings or talk like them, and they are completely unapproachable, and you only feel the effects of their work
in progress
on you only feel the effects of their work on like billboards and secret art projects and inside museums in closed doors. So when I entered the world of Web3, they welcomed me with open arms. They were so approachable, so accessible, and they transformed the way I looked at life, that I looked at myself. And it completely changed my own sense of self-worth as well. So one of the things that I have most enjoyed doing these last 2 or 3 years, and I have done some pretty crazy things, was hanging out and talking with artists, because I think they're very interesting people. And so here I am doing this again. Now, thanks so much to the team at Unlabel that put this together for all of us, that put me in the same room with these 2 amazing artists, Lapin Mignon and Raluca, who are the first 2 artists on week 1 of this amazing Unlabel program. Welcome, Lapin. Welcome, Raluca.
Thank you,
Hello.
Anand. Well, that's and I feel a little bit the same when you say Web3, enable you to get closer to artists. For me, it has the same thing as well, because for very, very long I was doing my art, on my side, and I would never dare to say I'm an artist, because I say, okay, I don't have the degree, I don't have the gallery, I don't have museum or anyone, curator basically backing me. And because of Web3, basically, I was able to, and NFT, I was able to showcase what I was doing. I was able to find the audience. And 3 years ago, I started crypto art. And it's basically, it really changes my life. And you started to be called as a crypto artist. I was like, wow, something is happening. I was just doing my watercolor, was just doing, and little by little, you're entering a world, you're starting to get almost a title that you were not entitled to have, the same way with collectors, art collectors that, as you were saying, that were not part of the art world, but then they said, yeah, I can collect art, I can be a collector, I am an art collector now. And this is amazing. And this is exactly the story I came through as well. And today, full-time crypto artist and full-time artist. And I'm so pleased that Blade Bandit is now with us, and that we were able to do this collaboration, but we'll talk a little bit more about it. But yeah, having Blade Bandits, part of this adventure as well with me, amazing.
This is fascinating to me, what you just said, Lapin, that even artists feel that they're not like artists yet, they haven't arrived yet. I never imagined that be the case. See, every conversation I have, I break some sort of a bias inside my head. I have this feeling that all artists are born super confident, that they have no issues with self-identity, that they make art. So I'm an artist, I have no doubts about it. So it's interesting to know that it's not always the case. Blade Bandits, welcome to the club.
Hi, I wanted to continue your idea that is true. Before the crypto art movements, artists used to be untouchable, and they used to be, there was some sort of distance between themselves actually in the community. And now, thanks to the crypto art, we can all be together, we can communicate, we have no barriers.
Absolutely.
Between each other.
Yeah. It's wonderful. What I want to do next is to, dive a little bit into your own journeys into crypto art. Before that, for people who've just tuned in, this is the first live episode of the unique unlabeled program from eDAO. I'm Anand. I'm the co-founder and CEO of eDAO. We're in conversation with two amazing artists, Lapin Mignon and Blade Bandits, who are part of the first week of collaboration from the Unlabeled program. Unlabeled is an amazing program where 8 NFT artists nurture and collaborate with 8 non-NFT artists, and over a period of 8 weeks, drop 8 amazing works of art on the front page of Rarible. So diving right back into the conversation, we were just talking about how art is usually inaccessible for most of us, for most of our lives, and how crypto art has changed that. And from the artist perspective, their collectors or their fans or their group of people or their tribe have also been sort of hard to get and distribute and fragmented until NFTs came along. The NFT space has the largest concentration of full-time artists anywhere else on the planet, and this is no accident. It is because the NFT space and crypto in general has been such a massive enabler. It plugs in artists to a new marketplace, a new set of collectors, to people like me who would otherwise never be exposed to their art, and that's amazing. I'd love to start with Lapin Mignon and ask her a little bit about her journey, where she first discovered, or that moment when she first discovered that she's an artist, and from there gently trace a path when she fell down the rabbit hole of crypto. Lapin, by the way, means rabbit, and it's very appropriate that she fell into the rabbit hole of crypto.
Yeah, that was almost this link you are making between the rabbit hole and Lapin is almost by accident, because my name as an artist has been, I chose it basically years and years ago. So it was not related, with crypto art first, but it suits so well, with Alice in Wonderland, the rabbit hole, and so anyway. So yeah, basically, I come from a family where a lot of, my dad, my mom are doing a lot of art, but you will never say you're an artist. Because it's a little bit mundane. It's, they will say, okay, how dare you? So basically I was doing a lot of my watercolor, a lot of things, on the side. And I've decided years ago to go for a corporate, type of job. And for many, many years, I tried to suit the corporation. I tried to put my arts on the side and to keep it as a hobby, because I said, okay, I will never be able to live from it. But from time to time, I was exploding because the creative myself basically was like, you cannot force someone to be as corporate or to fit the corporation world. So at one point, basically, I had, back in 2019, I almost had a board out. So it's like a burnout, but it's basically a point where yourself, you emotionally, you're bored basically. You feel like there is something that is not fulfilling, inside you. And I questioned myself and I said, okay, do you remember back, 15 years ago when I've decided that, okay, I won't go to Beaux-Arts, I won't go study art, I will go, in a more corporate business type of way, because I wanted to have a safe future. But remember, if I hadn't made this different choice, it would have been different. So back in 2019, I decided, I said, okay, I will try now to be more in art. And I've basically texted one of my friends, which is named Fanny Lacoubey, and she's quite a big name, in that space. She's a dear friend of mine. We know each other for the last 15 years, basically. And I texted her and I say, okay, I want to go in art, and I know you are doing a lot in art. So, tell me if there is a school or anything I can go. And she told me literally, you don't need a degree to be an artist. And you know what? There is something happening, crypto art. I would just send you a link. Do whatever you want to do with it and go there. And this link was for Additional. And this is where I started. I started to mint my art and started to meet the community back in 2019. There was not a lot of people at that time. And I feel really that I was accomplishing myself. I started with my little watercolor, and then I was surrounded with people with being so talented with digital tools. And I was like, okay, I'm doing a lot of things with my watercolor, but how far, I can learn from this community. So I started to collaborate with people, and they shared me, some tips, some advice. I started to download applications, digital tools, and I started basically to play from my watercolor, scan it, and then having a lot of fun with it. So playing with the colors, animating it, do some augmented reality from my watercolors, really, really have fun. And for the last 3 years, basically, it has been my journey, basically blending with the community as much as possible and helping each other, trying to learn, trying to push my skills, in art further and further. And today I'm working with some coder, and I've got some dear friend and in coding. And his name is Tagashi, and he's doing a lot in coding. He's a genius, and he's like, let's push it further. I want as well to explore further, so let's push it together. You want to explore your art? I want to explore Web3. So let's, join our forces together. And this is what I found, beautiful in this community. We can work together, pushing the barriers together, and with the name of art. And yeah, a few months ago, I decided, I say, okay, you know what? This corporation suit doesn't fit me anymore. I am 100% myself in crypto art. So let's go. And here I am.
There you go. Amazing. Three very strong themes came out from what you just said, Lapin. So one is the moment you touch Web3, your sense of self-identity becomes stronger because you're more free to be who you want to be. The second is, some incredible new tools that can enhance what you've been doing for the last many years. I had the same effect, right? It's sort of like it's like that movie The Mask, right? It amplifies the inner you, right? If you're a if you're a zany crazy guy like me, that it completely is amplified in Web3. What would take you many years to develop or have the confidence to do is like near instant. The third beautiful thing about Web3, which you described, is the ability to collaborate with some really amazing people, not just other artists, but people from other disciplines of life, of technology, of coding, like you mentioned. And with that, I think that's a perfect segue to Blade Bandits' story. How did you discover NFTs, and what was the start of your art journey?
Yeah, so I relate a lot to what Lapin said about being very hard at first to dedicate myself completely to art. Because in my early education, I wasn't even considering creating a whole career based on art. Only later, I realized I was so attracted to film, to visual art. And only this year, I started my crypto journey only a few months ago, while being directed by Lapin and being educated by her. So we'll see what happens next.
Amazing. Blade Bandits, what kind of art did you start with? And how did it sort of evolve over a period of time?
Yeah, so I started with visual art. I started drawing as a small child, and I was really attracted to this. And later in my formal education, a few years ago, I studied film. I finished the University of Cinematography in Bucharest, and I was always into the mystery, into the unknown, into the suspicious, bizarre art. When I studied film, my most favorite thing was the German Expressionism. And as I think about it now, it's been 100 years till the Nosferatu movie, if you know it. Yeah, and my vision now is built on that knowledge, as my own life experience so far is always bringing new things to this foundation.
Amazing. Amazing. I can't wait to see what you've created together. Again, guys, we're 25 minutes into this live. This is the first ever live show of Unlabel, a unique program that's created by and for artists. It is run by eDAO, which is like this Web 2 to Web 3 barge, which transports creators and artists and brands and communities from Web 2 to the magical world of NFTs. I'm Anand, its CEO and co-founder, and I'm in conversation with two amazing artists, Lapin Mignon and Blade Bandits, who formed the first set of collaborations of this 8-week Unlabeled program. Jumping right in, we were talking about our journeys, before and after NFTs, essentially, and how NFTs or the Web3 space has been transformative. My own journey has been, pretty radical. I used to be, a lanyard toting, a tie wearing corporate yuppie, not 6 years ago, and I'd never imagined that I'd be in conversation with artists, and also be so involved with them and with their space. And I see that it's the same kind of experience for artists as well on the other side. Jumping right into this next segment of our program, which is, what have you two worked on for this edition of Unlabeled? Can you tell me a little bit about the art, Lapin?
Yeah, so basically, with Blade Bandit, what we have done, we started from a subject that basically is really close to our heart. The main reason why is, apart that Blade Bandit is an amazing and talented artist. One of the things we really connected on is about motherhood and parenthood. So we're both in a parenthood journey at different stage, and basically it was we had a lot of conversation around it. It's basically a journey. It's the same as crypto art. You just go and learn, learn on the as you go, and it's the most rewarding thing, but as well it's the most it's draining a lot of energy. There's a lot of emotion going when you're doing your parenthood. And basically with Blade Bandits, what we have done, we were trying to understand, okay, how can we work together? And we were basically looking at, okay, different type of things, that because I'm doing watercolor, Blade Bandit is really into digital art, basically, with digital painting, digital drawing. So say, okay, how can we work together? So we try to work on to think about a few things, and then we both talk about, what about the octopus? Because we both like the imagery of it. We both like as well the fact that it has this eight tentacles, and being able to do a lot of things at the same time. And being a mom of two, I feel like in crypto art, and having worked for many years at the same time in corporation and doing a lot of things, I really feel like this 8 tentacles trying to keep everything up. And I said, okay, this is the really nice images about it. And Blade Bandits said at one point, say, you know what, you don't know the fun fact, not fun fact, but the fact about octopus is that when they are looking after the eggs and they wait for them to hatch, they stay many months. I think it's 53 months underwater in the abysm, looking after it. And most of the time, basically, they pass away because they've got so much energy, looking after them. And we found this, it's really dramatic, to be fair, but there is a little bit of, when you're going through parenthood, is, giving all this energy and as much as you can, to your kids, because you want to protect this life cycle. You will do everything for them. And basically this image of the octopus basically imposed itself, for both of us. So we worked basically on this, okay, let's do it. It's very symbolic for both of us, because again, we are at this different journey, in this parenthood journey. but as well, it's something that matches as well our style, because Blade Bandit is really doing very graphic, and has a very graphic style. And I'm very, in my watercolor, it can be very soft. So basically, blending this together was a way basically to express, ourselves, and to express ourselves around a topic that was very important for both of us.
Amazing.
I was very surprised at how well our very different styles blended, because apparently they're very different, but in the end, it looks like it was made from one person only when you will see it. Yeah. And we had to research a lot. I was documenting myself on the internet about the flexibility of the limbs of the octopus, the way it curls. And it's a big metaphor, our creation.
Amazing. Blade Bandits, can you tell me a little bit about the interesting places your research took you? And also, I'd love to understand some of the technicalities behind your art. What did you use to be able to blend the two of your styles together? What mediums did you choose to create this work of art?
Yeah, so first about the line, and I found a short documentary about a mother octopus, and it was filmed underwater, very realistic and very dramatic. So from real life, I didn't inspire from some other art or yeah. And my approach was a full digital when I draw. I first started with a sketch on which I built on. It was all from scratch, actually. After I finished the sketch, I started utilizing some shadows, texture, and then I played with some colors. I used my authentic texture style, and I tried to mimic the deep sea shimmer effect. You know what I mean, like a dreamy kind of.
Okay.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Amazing. Lapin, did you have to go out of your usual comfort zone or out of your medium to be able to do this, or did it just fit right in?
So yeah, I had that's always interesting part, when you're collaborating, is basically to go a little bit further, so to be able to meet the two styles and to make sure they're not clashing, or to meet this aesthetic basically when we were working together. And it's basically because the way I'm working is, and from an analog perspective. So basically, I've done a lot of watercolor. Just worked a lot on different watercolor and some colors. The way I'm doing it, it's quite unusual, because you can probably see, you can probably picture me, with my piece of paper and painting, very subtly, but it's not the case. What I'm doing for this work, basically, I applied all the watercolor. So I've got a glass table. I applied, a lot of watercolor drops on the glass table, mixing it. So for this one, I worked a lot on the base of blue and red. I will explain you later why. And I put it on the glass. And then I put a paper and I basically stamped the watercolor on my paper. The reason I'm doing it was to be able to create some water texture. So basically there will be a suction that happens between my piece of paper and the glass table, and it will create a little bit of a texture, or a little bit of a pattern basically on the paper that is completely random, obviously, and the color will start to melt. So basically, you have your blue, your red, but then obviously in between you have piece of purples, that is basically going random. So I worked from them, and then with an ink, with my ink pen, basically I did a lot of things on it. So then what I've done, I gave it to Blade Bandits. So she was basically able as well to work from here. what is unusual for me was to work a lot with dark color, because we are in the abysm.
Yeah.
So there is, and we tried to do something a little bit tragic. We never managed to do it. So we had basically at the end, we're like, okay, we cannot do something too tragic. We didn't want to make something about the death of the octopus, because we were not really on that page. So we said, okay, let's be more on the motherhood and parenthood, because the death was really the sad part of it, but we have to talk about it without showing it. So we had basically to put a little bit of narrative in it, but without showing the death of the octopus, because it's not our tone of voice for Blade Bandits and I. But yeah, I had to work more on the dark notes to show the abysm, and this is something completely unusual, and it helped basically to as a background, because I worked on this a lot. It helped basically to push forward and to put more spotlights on the design from Blade Bandit basically, and it creates a contrast and create basically a first stage and a backstage, and it's quite interesting, something that I never used to do. It was quite something for me to work on it.
Amazing. I mean, so basically what we're saying is parenthood is fascinating, it's draining, it's creepy, and it can be the perfect subject for art. So get that, copy, check. Now, for those who came in late, this is the first live program of Unlabel, which is a unique initiative from eDAO. Unlabel is where 8 NFT artists nurture 8 non-NFT artists, collaborate with them, and at the end of 8 weeks, drop 8 amazing works of art on the front page of Rarible, effectively launching those non-NFT artists into the magical world of NFTs. And I'm Anand. I'm the co-founder and CEO of eDAO, which is a gentle barge that transplants creators and artists and communities from Web 2 to the world of Web 3. We're in this live conversation. We've discussed so many amazing things about the journey of these two artists, from what they were before, and how the NFT space has effectively transformed them, how it has enabled collaboration, how it has led them to discover new tools of expression in their own art, and how it has made it easier for them to be themselves, the full version of themselves. And I suppose it's the same for all of us, that the NFT space has been equally transformative to all of us. All of the artists listening in to this program, I'd pay close attention, because Lapin Mignon's story is nothing short of inspirational. And fortunately for all of us, it is not a unique story in Web3. It is like many artists have found their new home, a permanent home in the world of NFTs, because the NFT space has the largest concentration of full-time artists than anywhere else on the planet. And these are some of the reasons why. Lapin, can we try and discuss a little about what makes a good NFT art drop? I know there is no single formula to it, but according to you, what do you think makes for a good, successful drop, from concept all the way to how you price it and launch it into the system?
First thing first is really important, but I think a lot of people will forget about it, is the authenticity. Be true to yourself, because the key thing in crypto art is the community. So you've got a community of artists, a community of collectors, a community of coders. We all live together. It's like a microcosmos, and microcosm basically. And being authentic is a way basically to be being yourself. And when you create an NFT, there was a lot of trend basically, especially at one point, where a lot of artists were like, oh, this style is working well, I would try to copy this style, and I will probably if I do another rap pepe, and it worked for a little bit, but then I think people understand that it's important basically to be yourself, and to be you are here for the long term. So think about it as well. Don't try to copy someone else. Just be 100% yourself, and this is how you will basically grow in the community. And then it's all the question that where to start. So it's obviously just to make sure that you pick the right blockchain as well, because there are different blockchains. So we talk about it as well a lot with Unlabeled, but Polygon, Ethereum, Tezos. So just make sure you understand what are the implications and how it talks to you as well as an artist. And then your marketplace as well. So you got a lot of different marketplace, curated, uncurated, etc. So just making sure as well you pick the right one. From a pricing perspective, it's always the tricky question. So it all depends, obviously, if you are going for unique artwork or a lot of editions, etc. So obviously, when you start, probably try to have a bunch of unique artworks, probably just to showcase what you can do. And from a pricing perspective, I feel it's always better to start from low and increase little by little. And but there's no rule, basically. It depends on what type of art you are doing, on how you are expecting to live from it or not, or is it something that there's so many stories behind who you are, which artist you are, and what type of art you are doing, and what is your expectation. So it's a journey, and there's no magic formula. Just be open to experimentation. That's it.
Absolutely. I mean, again, three themes, right, that you picked up on. One is authenticity of style. All of the artists listening in, I mean, I hope you've taken notes, because this is very important. This is how you approach art creation and distribution in the NFT space. One is to be authentic, and it's very hard to be authentic sometimes in the NFT space, because suddenly you see this instant spike of a certain kind of art. It could be GIFs as a medium, it could be trash art, it could be glitch, and so many things in between, which seem to sell like hotcakes suddenly, and everybody wants to do it. But I think, like Lapin was mentioning, it's important for you to see yourself in the space in the long run and stick to what is authentically your style of art, whether or not it is the current trend. The second is to choose the right blockchain, like she said, Polygon, everybody. But yeah, my simple rule of thumb is that the blockchain which seems to attract a large number of artists is the right blockchain, because artists tend to ask the difficult questions that we normally wouldn't. They tend to be more conscious about the ecological implications of something. They tend to be very conscious about how much freedom a blockchain provides to them. How free they are able to create, the kind of tools that they're provided to be able to do the things that they want to do, and so on and so forth. So in a sense, what many people don't acknowledge is that this whole NFT boom that we see right now was caused by artists. It happened because artists decided to make an exodus to Ethereum, decided to hang out there, decided to build on crypto voxels and launch on Rarible and a bunch of other platforms. That is the the thing that shifted under, which saw the tidal wave of NFT adoption. Many people only see the numbers and the and all of the prices and the action, but the tectonic shift was caused by artists. And I feel I'm fortunate in being one of the people that recognizes this. So thank you for that. And the third is obviously pricing. Like Lapin said, the any new industry or any new space is like an equalizer, right? You have to start from scratch. The good part is people like me who have no amazing history to look back on get to have a fresh start, a clean state. But it also means that if you're an artist or a creator, or if you've had an illustrious career before, you can't bring that baggage into the space. You still have to start from scratch. So it's nice to be experimental, and it's also nice to be humble, to start fresh and see what this new audience likes, and then sort of price yourself upwards. So all excellent suggestions. Thanks so much, Lapin. And I know that through your conversations, Blade Bandits has also absorbed a lot of this, and I really look forward to her entering into the space and sort of shining. I'm sure she will, because the moment you mentioned Nosferatu, I knew that you were going to bring something like super edgy into the system, and I can't wait to see what it is.
Thank you. I also can't wait for you to critique our work, because as Lapin said, it's very important. I don't have the same experience as her, but it's very important to put yourself out there and to take advantage of the community, because when you just started like I did, you have the opportunity to take a lot from the community, but you should also give back to the community and be authentic in that way to socialize.
Absolutely. That's how I suppose you give back to the community, by being authentic and not treating them like they don't understand art, or they won't be able to appreciate it. And many magical things have happened by both artists and collectors opening themselves up to new experiences. So thank you so much for that. Lapa, any last insights, comments, anything else you want to talk about the work this episode?
No, the only thing I wanted just to say, about being an artist and being authentic and making sure you find your style doesn't mean that you have to stick to your style, but be making sure that you are making things that really that really inside you, and really being an artist. We have to remember, and I think this is something that you can, especially when the market it will start to be bullish again, have to remember we are here to create and not to produce art. And this is something please everyone here keep in mind, because you will have conversations sometime with collectors, okay, keep on moving, but if you don't have the flow of creativity, it's okay. And if you've got the flow of creativity, make sure it is what you want to express. Don't do art to please. Make art because you have to express yourself. Just remember, it will be cool, I think, at the beginning of your journey, if you're starting your crypto art journey, just put on a paper, what is your expectation, what are you expecting, from why you are here and why you want to be an artist. Why you want to be a crypto artist, basically. And I remember for me, when I really started back in 2019, and the reason why I sent this text and the reason why I was exploding, I remember this thought, through my head was, I really want basically my son to be able to look at me and to be proud of what I'm doing. I didn't want them to see, someone who is getting bored and doing a job, for the next 30 years that she doesn't like. And to bring this image basically, to my son, I wanted to show them that if you got a passion and if you are really investing, in it, and you hold it tight, basically, you can manage it. And this is one of my first thoughts, when I say, okay, let's do it. I have to go there. I have to lead by example. And this is something that is always close to my heart, every day, and now, I think they can see me smiling, having, thriving because I'm doing what I love. And I feel like being a better parent, in a way. And so, make sure that you know why you are entering this space. And, from time to time, the market and the crypto art and cryptocurrency, and, it's going crazy. It's going up and down, up and down. You can feel depressed. You can feel super bullish, in the same day. But make sure you refer back to your little paper and you say, okay, this is why I'm here.
Absolutely. A happier parent is a better parent. I completely agree with that. And you're right. I mean, you're creating a legacy as such, right, for yourself and for your children, to look back on and say, okay, this person was happy in the time that I spent with him, because he was happy with what he's doing or she is doing, and happy with their life and their pursuits. So amazing. I think that's a perfect reason, like you said, to note down in that little paper before you take the plunge down the rabbit hole of crypto, to establish to yourself what you want, from life and from art. Guys, we're nearing the end of this session, so we can take questions if you have any. but you have been with us. This is the first live of the Unlabeled program, which is an incredible initiative by EDAO. We're basically launching artists into the Web3 space, into the magical world of NFTs. And we're doing that by having other NFT artists hold their hand and collaborate with them and drop works of art on the front page of the new internet. So we are looking at the first duo, the first collaboration, such collaboration on week 1. We have Lapin Mignon with us. We've been shooting the wind with Blade Bandits. These two are the chief collaborators this week. And we've been discussing their art journey. We've been discussing my journey in the world of NFTs and how do you drop an NFT? How do you collaborate in this space? And so on and so forth. It's been a fascinating discussion. So let's see if there are any questions that we can answer. What is the best price point for a new artist should start from? Yeah, I think we just discussed this a little while ago, but here's the thing, right? As Lapin said, if I may seal her thing, it's always good to start low because you're in a new space which you've never been in before. You're tapping into a new marketplace, and all of your previous credentials or the stuff that you built up are basically your social creds are down to zero. You have to start from scratch. So with that in mind, I think you should start pricing your artwork, and then you can, increase or decrease or sort of modulate as you see fit. But it's nice to start off in a new place, humble. Yeah, Lapin.
Yeah, quick one. So I think I've got a little advice and quite a tip basically. When you first start, and you may say, okay, but there is this thing about genesis. So while your first artwork will basically be your genesis, and it will be probably one of the most important artwork, in your crypto art career. What I would advise is, okay, you say, okay, you just told me to price low. Maybe think about it, take it with you. But what about you put your first crypto, your first genesis, but you don't price it, you don't sell it. And the rest, try, make your experimentations on your number 2, number 3. This is where you start your experimentation. But maybe think about, keeping your genesis and sell it later when your name, will be more known, in that space, and you will have your credibility built. So yeah, just have a strategy, think about it. But again, it's just to make sure that you've got, everyone is different, every art is different. So yeah, just make sure you've got your strategy ready.
Oh, that's an excellent tip. All artists who are coming into the space, maybe think about setting aside your Genesis piece for a much later date, or at least mint a couple of editions of it, so you can keep one for yourself. I know that, Josie Bellini, one of my favorite artists in the NFT space, does that. Whenever she releases editions, the edition 1 always remains with her. The rest of them go to sale and so on. Not to sell it later, but in her case, it's more sentimental. But it also makes financial sense because once you become a bigger artist, once your brand, such as it is, starts to ascend, then the value of that Genesis piece really does increase. So there you go. I have another question from Fido Dido. He says, does an artist reach a point of being totally soluble, which is no more ideas? What do they do to keep everything fresh? I think Lapin, sort of mentioned this a little while ago when she hit, some sort of burnout. But in this case, it was bored out because, she was almost out of ideas. So one easy fix is to try and come into the NFT space. That seems to work out for a lot of artists. But as a practice, what do you think how do you do? I want to point this to Blade Bandits. What do you do when you feel like you've run out of ideas?
I really wanted to intervene because I found myself in this situation, and it happens to all artists. No matter what type of art you make, you will always find yourself blocked, even though you're a writer or anything. And I think it has to do with the world we live in today. During the whole humanity, artists always had writing blocks and phases like this, but in our contemporary period, it's much more easy to have one because life is so stressful. Everyday responsibility is so stressful, and it's very hard to keep a distance from all this, to concentrate and to give your best. I think if you feel at some point that you are blocked, just take a vacation. Don't think about everyday's problems. Meditate, do sport, do something to break this chain, and it will all come back to you.
Amazing. Thank you. What do you do, Lapa, when you feel that you've hit a block?
To be fair, the same as Blade Bandits. I embrace it, so it's okay. It's okay because it's. I know when the creativity is back is crazy, so I have to basically
Nice.
create, and basically I cannot stop. So I know that when it happened, that I feel like, okay, it's okay. I embraced it, and just a good occasion to step back, do other things. For me, I will do a lot of administration, so just making sure all my paperworks are ready. So I'm like, okay, let's. It's a little bit, and I've heard a really good podcast this morning about the power of silence, and basically stop being stimulated by your phone, stop being stimulated by screens and everything around. Sometimes they say, just when you're, for example, when you're on your bath, just put your ear on the water for 2-3 minutes, and it basically your brain needs some time to do nothing and to be able to rewire everything. So yeah, the same power of the silence, I think it's just the power of, okay, do nothing, embrace it, and enjoy it. It's almost a vacation. It will come back. There's no reason why it won't come back.
Amazing. So I suppose faith does have a lot to do with it, and the fact that the inspiration does come from within, but an artist or any sort of creator is basically a vessel for that inspiration. It's not something he or she generates by himself. So I think the idea is simply to be receptive and open when inspiration strikes, rather than trying to force it, because, like you said, there is no formula, and have faith that it will come back. And when it does come back and you're in that creative flow, always do remember that it will sort of go away at some point, only to come back again. Amazing. We have a question from Niket Ratta, who asks, how can you use dynamic or fractional NFTs effectively? I'll take that one. Well, again, it should fit into the medium or into the format of what you're trying to launch, right? NFTs have two aspects to them. One is ownership and the other is experience. So whether they are dynamic NFTs or fractional NFTs, they need to essentially answer both of these streams effectively. So part one, obviously, in fractionalized NFTs is that you're distributing or decentralizing ownership of one single asset, which does give rise to its own set of little problems. Can all of them agree on something? For instance, if you want to sell that asset together or do something with that asset, how do you establish consensus? So make sure that that asset lends itself to being fractionalized in the first place. And second, always add a layer of experience to those NFTs. Otherwise, you're simply trying to cash in on something. What inspired you to take your first steps into the NFT space? Asks Poet of Lore. Lapin Mignon said earlier in this talk that she was trying to take stock of herself, and she found the NFT space as a new outlet, a new medium of expression for herself. And Blade Bandits, basically, we sort of, I think, lured her in, pulled her into the rabbit hole with this collaboration with Lapin Mignon. Right. Traditionally, artists work in isolation. What do you look for in collaboration? Asks a very colorfully named Peanut Butter Solution. I think we'll make that the last question. That's really nice. Traditionally, artists work in isolation. What do you look for in a collaboration?
For me, and I think it's very, very typical to crypto art, because crypto art is more than just an NFT, is more than just the medium to secure your artwork on the blockchain. But there is this community behind, and we talked. I think it's a word that we heard a lot during this discussion. Community. And this community is very strong. We are all in it together, and the collaboration is something that comes naturally, in crypto art space, which is fun, because when you think about, everyone, is a different part of the world, and we are all, very open basically to work together despite the different time zone or so on. So I think everyone saw the opportunity basically to be able to blend with other people. So that's nice. For me, as I was mentioning at the beginning, it's really an occasion as well to learn, because crypto art is just a type, it's not a type of art. It just means the art, on the blockchain. But there's so many different way, that people are doing their art, and I think everybody is innovating. And I love to say that in the NFT space, crypto art is probably the one, innovating, and can make, some use cases for the rest of the industry, in the NFT space, And you were talking about dynamic NFT. When I saw the Matt Kane, the gazers,
Yes, yes,
where it
amazing.
was
Yeah.
it's amazing. It's basically an abstract artwork, and it's linked to the rotation of the moon, and every time it's changing. And this is, this is art, but it shows, how you can relate a variable, to your art. And when you think about it, you're like, okay, what can be done, even more, even further, in the NFT space in different industries. So that's really cool. So you are able basically to see what other artists are doing, and you are able as well to collaborate with people that you were not supposed to collaborate with, if you were just between artists, but coders, developers. Since I've started, to work with people like Crypto Kage and now with Tagashi, it opens to me like a new, like an enormous, huge, basically a way medium, basically I can use, which are technology, and we are building it together. There's no, there's no incident why we are talking about building the space. We are building together. It's basically, okay, as an artist, what idea do you have? And I'm always go, crazy and like, oh, what about, we do, and this is what we are talking at the moment. We do a universe where we distribute generative planets that would be made of watercolor, but they can talk to each other, and people can throw, a flower on their planet because they can interact with each other. And, you can be completely crazy, and you've got someone at the end, saying, you know what, let's do it. Let's do it. It will be a challenge, but let's do it. There will be a little bit of AI, there will be a little bit, but it's really about, let's do it together. So no, definitely collaboration in that space is the best way first to learn, and the best way to build something, that would be amazing, and that will leave, some legacy in that space, later on, and create some use case, what blockchain, can be used for in the future.
I would like to make a very short point related to what you said. I find myself very much in this stereotype of the artist who works in isolation. I all my life worked in isolation, and this is my first ever collaboration and my first Instagram live. And I can say that it added so much, and just the challenge of it, just the way we work together as a team, it helps my evolution as an artist. Doesn't mean that I won't work in isolation tomorrow again, but from time to time, it's nice to have this experience, and it will help you grow always.
Amazing. A short but very pertinent point. Thank you so much. Guys, I think we're at the top of the hour. Thank you so much, Lapin Mignon and Blade Bandits, for taking the time and for sort of letting us be part of your journey for a little bit. The Unlabeled program is very close to our heart, as you can see. We just want to hang out with artists, and Unlabeled becomes an excuse to do it. And what we're trying to do with Unlabeled is to open up this new space to as many artists and creators as possible, because like you said, right, it's many artists feel like art is meant to be this hobby. It's relegated to it, whereas it's the primary part of your identity. And in the NFT space, in the Web3 space, that's possible to make this your sole identity, the thing that you actually do, the thing that you identify yourself with. So I'm so happy that we're able to launch this with the two of you as the first collaboration. We've discussed so much. I'm sure we'll have video cuts of this later on in bits and pieces we can keep looking back at and sharing. And this has been an excellent discussion, not just for people with a casual interest in art, but also for artists who want to make the transition into the space. And so I'm sure you'll all appreciate this more. Again, this is I'm Anand, the co-founder and CEO of eDAO, and this is the first Instagram live of the Unlabeled program. Thank you all for joining us.